What's happening, my beautiful people? My name is Dirty Mike, and welcome back to another edition of 40 in 40. And EA just dropped a brand spanking new patch. And if you want a dedicated video talking about, did they make some gameplay adjustments? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Drop a thumbs up right now. I'd love to see us hit 2,000 likes. It tells me I gotta get it out ASAP. And if you're brand new to this series, you're going to see all 40 matches from the Weekend League, and I've got a bunch of topics, squad breakdown, review, custom tactics, all in one place. In the comments, let me hear your thoughts regarding the new patch, even if it's a first impression. I know if you're an FUT founder, you've got to be excited. And for myself, custom formations, they're going to be gone. Oh, I can accept that. I appreciate the change. EA took a long time, but as long as you're trying to progress with us, just communicate though. Let us know that you're working on something. This is in the development. Listen to the community a little bit, but this should be a progression, we hope. Also, which 3 goals did you like the best? Put them down below. Put a minute there. Because when I'm watching this back, that's kind of what I'm thinking to myself. What goals did I score that were really standoutish? Could I include that into a tutorial? Is that going to be helpful to someone? Is that a good look? So you guys can kind of help me contribute. Lastly, if you need cheap codes or cheap games, head on over to g2a.com. Make sure you use Dirty at that checkout. Get that cash back option. Let's get this party started. On screen, record 0-0. And I'm always feeling those jitters. I talked about it in the previous video, but I don't think that's going to change. When I'm playing FIFA, especially in those early stages, I'm truly hoping, please, don't drop a game early. Don't mess this up in the beginning. Yes, you might feel a little less pressure at that point. Once I lose that first game, I often feel like it kind of opens up. But at the same time, if you do it way too early, it's just frustrating. How you bounce back has never been more important. And I want to start out talking about the squad. It's kind of been the theme of this series. And I typically make minor adjustments. And for next week, I'd love to add an additional legend into my starting 11, but it comes down to packs. Maybe we get some luck, maybe we generate some coins. Team of the year wasn't amazing for me, even though I will say, since I've played against a lot of team of the year players, and I've used a few myself, the ones that you want, I mean, outside of the obvious choices, you really don't want to turn down any of them, but the guys that seem to make the most difference for the upgrade and the price and what you're going to get out of them, the change of their previous card to where they're at now, it's going to be Suarez. Yeah, he's still biting, folks. Because of the pace increase, and he's just very physical. And you feel the increase in terms of his movement. He can actually sprint by people. Because Suarez was the ultimate cam before. And you couldn't play him up top sometimes, at least not in the competitive game modes, mainly just because of his pace. That's no longer an issue. So now you have the cam or the striker option. You could probably get away with using him as a center mid if you really wanted. I would say Marcelo is my next pickup. I've played against that fool a lot, man. He's got the total package, the skills, the progression in terms of being able to go up the pitch effortlessly. And then defensive numbers and physical stats. Everything's good. There's just nothing that's bad. You could probably switch Marcelo with a center mid or a CDM in match as well if you wanted to use him in that sort of role in your squad. He's just got brilliant statistics. Played against Sergio Ramos a lot. Not going to be cheap. But there's so many legends that kind of fill that role. Unless you're on the PlayStation, then maybe that Sergio Ramos card's going through the roof for you. And out of the midfielders, I would go with Modric. But I don't know if any of them jump off the page for me when I'm looking Cruz, Iniesta, Modric. I'm really becoming fond of using players that have a lot of size and height and having that physical element, especially in FUT Champions, because and FUT Champs is a little bit of a different game mode than some of the other game modes that we play in FIFA, where you're going in divisions and draft and online friendlies, or maybe you're playing an offline mode that deals with FUT. Because FUT Champions servers are so random, they're kind of suspect. Now we have a new latency bar, thanks to the patch that's been changed, the updates. We'll see if that really makes a big difference, or if it's just the same old ping latency bar that we have kind of grown accustomed to while playing FIFA throughout many years. And I'm not a big time believer in the latency bar, because if you guys can recall, a few weeks ago I was out of town for New Year's and I took the Xbox with me, and I had disgusting internet. I was ruining every match. But it was crazy because when I went into games, I still had green latency. And that's with 200 plus ping. I had 1 for download. I had less than 1 for upload. It was kind of shaky. That was with a direct connect too. It was awful. The location was just kind of out in the country. And the connection was not acceptable for online play. But I had to get the games done. And I ended up finishing top 100 in the month. So that was good. But the point that I'm making is that the latency bar didn't protect any of my opponents from matching with me. And it's that bad where they literally should have been protected, where they should have been able to go into that match knowing, oh man, this is a red bar, this is a yellow bar. How could it be green? And that's kind of going to be my debate. I don't know what they take into consideration for the latency. I'm just not sure. But the point that I was kind of bringing everything together is that these smaller, skillful players don't always turn out how you want them to develop or how you want them to show out in matches in FUT Champs because the servers are so dodgy. And if you're in the America division, and I'm not saying this doesn't exist in Europe, but Europe is, you know, pretty together. I guess there's going to be the countries that you're trying to avoid, but in the America division, it's tough, and you're going to notice a big-time discrepancy connection-wise between if you're playing a U.S. opponent versus if you're playing someone from Brazil. And I got no negatives towards Brazil, but I typically have slow games versus guys that are from Brazil. Their internet doesn't like my internet. I'm not sure. And that discrepancy makes it where when you're putting together your team, you want to look for the guys that can get the BS bounces because you might need one of those in a big moment if you want to hit 30 plus wins, if you want to hit 25 plus wins, if you want to hit 35 plus wins. But we're going to discuss the squad. Seen a lot of these players before. I start out in the 4-3-3, which is kind of standard for me, and custom tactics, which I've talked about in many videos, and they really haven't changed. But all I'm adjusting custom tactic wise for the most part. And when I say for the most part, I'm talking. So your passing is like 50 and 50. Maybe I have it at 52 and 53. There, it's not. I don't even know if it changes something at that point. And the same goes for most of my build-up play, except I like to use the free form. I guess where the guys are kind of going in and out, a little more creativity. The only place that matters, in my opinion, because it's all going to come down to how you play FIFA anyways, is the defense. Because how you set up that defensive line with your pressure, whether it's a lot of it or very minimal, and the same with aggression, a lot of it or very minimal, it matters. And then cover to offside trap, you will notice that instantaneously. First match, if you've changed it from offside trap to cover, you're going to be like, oh, wait a second, we're sitting back a little bit different. This doesn't look like what I was experiencing before, and I want to bring that up because that's really what you're changing in custom tactics. Even the width of your squad matters so much. In fact, I've noticed that there's been a big increase of 4-3-3 opponents. Hold on, I got to re-up for this. So, because I'm playing a narrow formation, I'm swapping into the 4-1-2-1-2. I don't like playing against wide formations, ideally. And it's not all guys that play wide formations. I would say out of my opponents, only half of them kind of play the slow, wide, a lot of shield, a lot of build-up, and it's frustrating. It's hard to go against, and it just counters these narrow formations really well, and I've noticed an increase in the 4-3-3 opponents, and this weekend, I don't think this is a spoiler, but this weekend, 14 of the 40 started off in a 4-3-3, and that does not include a 4-3-2-1. I'm talking the very wide, large, and in charge, lots of spacing, hug the end line and or the sideline, wherever you're at. And there's nothing wrong with the 4-3-3 at all. I just noticed that it causes matchup issues for narrow formations, and it's on the come up in terms of how often I'm seeing it used. So I thought I'd bring it up, and I counted 14 opponents. So jot that down. I'm kind of curious if you guys have your gameplay on a live stream. Maybe you recorded it. Maybe you just took notes. I like stats. I think stats are really cool. When you're doing something week in and week out, it's nice to know who's showing up, who's showing out, who's letting you down, who's not worth the coins, and who's really giving you those big moments. And it also matters the moments because we talked about this in my Discord server, which is free to join, where we were talking about Higuaín a little bit and how he doesn't always show up in the big matches, but he might pummel a lower team in the Serie A. And that makes it where his stats look just incredible. They're jumping off the page. But who really cares if you don't show up in the big games? And that's how I feel with FUT Champs. I don't really mind if you score or if you're relevant or not relevant in a game that I'm going to win 5-0, 7-0, 8-1, whatever the scoreline might be. I need you to show up and perform at the best of your ability, that premium quality, in the game where I win 1-0 or 2-1, or I need a late winner, I need some BS, I need a bounce back, I need someone to bump and to shimmy and to shake them off, some quick passing, something magical that's going to allow me to break this equal battle that we got going on, this back and forth. I need something special. And that's why I always talk so highly about Ronaldo, and I've said it once, I'll say it again. He's worth the coins because he offers you this player that can argue to be the best in the game. In fact, for me, now that I've used Hullet for an complete 40 games, Hullet's the best midfielder in FIFA, but Ronaldo's the best attacker. And I'd love to actually know how you feel about this. If you're, right here with me in the comments, I know I talk about the comments a lot, but this is a long video, so there's just so much that I get to express, that I get to talk about, that I get to ask you guys. And there we can go back and forth in the dialogue a little bit on what you think, what you don't think, etc. This is my own little Reddit post almost. Who is your #1 attacker, #1 midfielder, and #1 defender? And if you're on the PlayStation, just put PS4 or PS and then list 1, 2, and 3. I understand your legends would be excluded from that list. I'm not really sure where I fall defensively here. Attacker Ronaldo, midfielder Hullet, and then defensively it gets a lot more debatable because I've used the Blancs and the Ferdinands and the Maldinis, the Bremas. I'm just not sure where I fall just quite yet. So I'll let you guys kind of go back and forth in the comments a little bit. If you have a goalkeeper that you like, just one, who you choosing? I think a lot of people go De Gea. Neuer's been good for me, so I just kept using him. He's easier to get into squads too, because I feel that Boateng is at that legend status. And then speaking of legends, the goalkeeper legends I really want to try out. The Van der Sar, the Schmeichel, they have to be good players. They have to be able to show up, even with preference involved when you're playing FUT Champs. When I look at their stats and their size, and sometimes I go up against these guys, I'm like, man, they're going to link with everything. These guys have to be valuable. They have to be assets to the squad. Am I wrong? Am I right? That's another debate. I feel that FUT Champs is kind of the testing game mode. This guy works, this guy doesn't work. It's how we measure. It's the variable to really be able to certify or solidify the true value and potential with your players. And you see that happening. Pros that are using this guy, and this guy, their prices are going up. When people have coins, those guys skyrocket because people want to win, and they want to win now. Haven't even started talking about the squad yet, so this seems like a good time to transition into that. Up top, you got Griezmann on the left because he's got that left foot. Heavenly, dangerous. Got the power, got the placement, got the ability to slide it home, can hit it off the volley. I'd stay away from his right foot. However, post-patch, his right foot has been a lot more noticeable for me. Could be a coincidence, could be a placebo effect, but I'm mentioning it now. I like to play more games before I give the guarantee that, oh, Griezmann's weak foot improved. Because that's kind of a bold statement. I know it shows that he has a 3-star weak foot, but for the most part this year, when I use Griezmann's weak foot, it's felt more like a 2-star. I never score goals. However, recently, so my last 10 games, and it's all post-patch, Griezmann's been looking like he's got a solid 3. At moments there, even maybe a 4. I'm not going to complain if we can get that out of him. Because his positioning on the pitch is kind of what makes him so gifted and talented. I don't know if you guys were in those classes. Somebody that's watching this had to have been. That's what they used to call it in elementary school in the U.S. I'm not sure how it works in the U.K. If you guys had gifted and talented programs or whatnot. Basically, it would be your honors courses, but they called it honors when you progressed into high school. It used to be GT classes were elementary school. If you were trying to take more advanced classes, maybe you really enjoyed reading, and your teacher believed in you. Middle school, I think we might have AP classes. It might have been GT still. I don't know if they've changed the name to honors, but definitely in high school, honors and AP classes. You guys let me know. I might have lost a few people there, but back to the team. Ronaldo on the right, and I stand by this, and I like to repeat it just in case somebody didn't watch a previous video. Best right-footed striker, if you have two right-footed strikers, which is more common than having a couple lefties or a lefty and a righty. Please put your best right-footed striker on the right side if you're running two strikers. So, for example, I've seen many Martial and Ronaldo pairings, or Martial and who else are we going to put there? Let's pick another Premiership player, or Premier League player. Let's say Martial and Musa. So Martial is better than Musa. Martial should be on the right. It just seems to get better results. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't think that's a Mike only. I think period. Point blank period. That position, right-footed player, across the body. And I'm seeing, and I'm taking notes, and we're trying to work this in my gameplay. I don't do a lot of finesse shots. And after the newest of patches, I feel that the finesse shot is stronger than it's ever been this year. And it's almost about just finding the right location on the pitch, which sometimes can be easier said than done. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video, some sort of tutorial covering the finesse shot, because a lot of it's came on strong, where you can kind of hit the near post, and it's long distance, outside the box. Finesse shot allows you to still score goals. But back to the squad at that center attacking mid-roll, I've gone with Ruud Gullit. And let me talk why. I just felt at 2.8 million coins that I could not put him as a center mid. I wanted to see a turnaround of my investment now. And I'm not saying you won't see that as a center mid. In fact, he's probably more statistically gifted to be a center mid, because his overall numbers are just through the roof. I mean, he can do everything on the pitch better than nearly everyone. But at the same time, I was comfortable with Gareth Bale as a center mid. He's left-footed, left side. I was like, that's cool. And then I wanted Gullit to be involved. Maybe he will score some big goals in big moments, was my reasoning going into FUT Champs. I might need this guy to come through with the long shot, or to be able to big body and provide, or we'll see how it plays out. I thought he worked out well. And we're going to talk about full player statistics a little bit further on in the video. I don't want to spoil the video. You guys that have been following me on Twitter or Instagram, Snapchat, then you already know what the final verdict is for this week. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad weekend. That's all I'll say. But in behind Ruud Gullit, like I said, Gareth Bale on the left, Vieira in the middle, and Vieira's positioning is what makes him special. Pogba on the right. And I don't see Pogba going anywhere. Just the size and the skill and the agility and how he can kind of do everything. Maybe I shouldn't even say kind of. He just does everything on the pitch better than almost everyone. Another one of those GT players, or an MVP status, or a marquee matchup performer, whatever you want to do in terms of how you categorize these types of players. But when you're bigger than everyone, and you're faster, and you're more skillful, and you have the long shot capabilities, you're seeing some custom formations. I think hopefully this is matched up where you're seeing some custom formations. This is why I don't like custom formations. People don't always get my complaints in their entirety. They think that Mike's just upset on Twitter. No, I'm mad because people aren't trying to play me. They're not trying to beat me. They've chosen from 0-0. Screw this. I don't care what kind of team I got. I don't care what I've put into the game. I'm not playing against Mike. I'm not doing that. I'm not interested in playing this match. I understand that people recognize me, and because I just can't see people doing this versus every opponent. But the reason that I hate custom formations, you got it. On screen, you got it. And I think in this matchup, too, which you're going to see, the guy didn't even get a shot. He drew a penalty kick kind of random. That was the only chance he ever had in the game. And you're going to see another custom formation switch that just looks stupid. And I never, and I mean this, I never see custom formations used in a way that's normal. So I'm so happy with the new patch that this is going to be removed. Park the bus is one thing. Custom formations on a whole nother level. Because you can individually position players and put them where you want them, they just don't move from that position. They're like, no, you told me to be here, I'm going to stay here. I'm not going anywhere. You know, Mama said don't move, well, I'm not moving. I want to obey Mama. That's how I feel, and it just looks stupid. Like, look at that formation. Like I said, I hope that's matched up, but it's what, 10 defenders? 10 defenders, and I made a lot more shots than, well, actually I told you only had the penalty kick. I made an onslaught of opportunities, but if De Gea's having a good game, things aren't really clicking for you. You're not going to get into the box easily versus custom formations. Even custom formations that look normal, they're not. They're not. People always pull back people, or maybe they're wingers. Instead of them being as normal wingers, they're both sitting on those sidelines. And you can't adjust your team without going back in then and messing with custom formations in terms of getting them to, oh, hey, man, can you push wider? I want you to be right on that guy. It doesn't work that way. So thankfully, that should be eliminated. You're still going to have the park the bus, the ultra defensive, the people that are playing very wide, trying to hold the ball. You can't remove hoe bags from the game. And I'm not asking EA to do that. I just want them to give us an opportunity to at least have to play these games out. Because the longer this game's been out, I feel as if people have done better versus park the bus. Early on in FIFA 17, people struggled so much against park the bus because it was kind of a new feature where people were literally just sitting back there stuffing it. The player contain and the defending was done for you. And I think this patch actually going to help us with some of the auto defending. I don't like that. The AI shouldn't do everything for you, but that's why park the bus early in FIFA 17, people were like, oh my god, how do I beat this? They'd have 8 players back, nobody's moving, and the player containing was just so overpowered to get into the box or to take the long shots and not have them blocked or auto-blocked. You found yourself just, well, I don't see how this is going to play out in my favor. How am I going to get 1 goal back, yet alone 2 goals, perhaps, if you really messed up and you were down? And the counter-attacking features still were strong. And then back line, which just seems to be the place that I'm going to change the least, or it's going to be my last adjustment. We've got the typical Alaba, Boateng, Smalling, Kyle Walker, and then Neuer is in net, and he should be holding it down. That's at least what we agreed on. Neuer, you hold it down. Don't mess it up. I refuse to lose games off you being suspect. And then with the regionals coming up, myself and actually a subscriber, some of you guys know him, Willie, we should be refereeing the initial regional where that was the November qualifier, which is in Miami. We'll be administrating the event. I haven't booked the final flight, but that's what I've heard. That's what we've been working on here. So that'll be fun. I'll get to meet a lot of different people there. I remember I didn't really try to qualify in November. I was kind of live streaming more, so I was just making tutorials and tips, and I put a lot of focus on that end of FIFA, and I didn't take the correct precautions to give myself the best opportunity to perform well in November. Could I have qualified? Perhaps. I actually feel that I'd definitely be very close. It's hard to put a guarantee, though, because you don't know. You have one bad weekend, and that kind of screws up your qualification process. And nobody is above having that bad weekend. Anybody, it can happen to anyone. Even the likes of a huge Gorilla or a Tass. And Tass has had a few weekends now where I think he finished with 36 wins, which for Tass is not great. It's not special. It's not spectacular for him. And I do want to stress that. For him. Because he's used to getting the 40-0s and the 39-1s and maybe on a bad week a 38-2. And that's just the reality of FIFA this year, is that you almost have to be perfect for FUT Champs. And that makes people go crazy. It makes people play like a mess. And the reason that I don't feel as if we're going to get reward packs on time this week, because I'm recording this prior to reward packs dropping. Usually they come out on Wednesday. Maybe they'll come out late on Wednesday. But I think EA's got a big dilemma in terms of dealing with this no-loss glitch. And I'm not going to show it. I'm not going to discuss it. But it does raise the question, and it's alarming, and it makes me sit there like, oh, please no. Please don't tell me this is a real thing, because as someone that's good at FIFA and tries to take a lot of pride in performing well over the weekends, I can't lose games off disconnects or people taking away matches, or this becomes who's the best cheater, which kind of is what happened with FIFA Interactive World Cup Online, and that ruined it for a lot of people. I can't invest the amount of time that has to go into this, knowing that one DDoS, one cutoff, one disconnect, one mistake was going to cost me everything. And when I sit back, and I want your opinion here, I mean, you could do me another solid. How many wins did you finish with on the weekend? Put that in the chat. Simple. You don't have to lie. You don't have to, be at 40-0. It doesn't matter at all. I'm not there. I just want you guys to be comfortable whether you put 15 or you put 35. It's all good. Not making judgment here. It's more so just kind of to see what's happening. But when I look at the leaderboards, I just feel deep down, whether it's PlayStation or Xbox, there can't be this many people that are getting 35-plus wins. And my region in the Americas and the European region, there's a lot of them. It's not like a few people. I'm talking, you might have 100 that are getting 35-plus in both of our regions. And I can't figure out or grasp how that's possible. This many people are playing. How are you guys not getting matched up enough against each other where there's that many that can generate 35-plus? And that's why I'm also concerned about people being able to disconnect or get out of losing a match because something's happening. Maybe I'm being a little bit crazy. Maybe I'm taking this to an extreme. Maybe this is a conspiracy theory. I'll let you guys decide. I just remember the first weekend of FUT Champs in this month. I finished with 37 wins and did not make the top 100. I saw on the PlayStation you had to have 38 wins to have a chance at the top 100. There's no way there's that many perfect players. You realize how good of a weekend, and you see it when I show you my 40 games that are behind you. There's a lot of ugly wins. There's 1-0s. There's 2-1s. There's penalty kicks. There's a lot of good gameplay, but at the same time, I'm not over here just smashing past people, and I don't think that there's that many people that are. Even when you go 40-0, when I talked to Task, because I did an interview with him, or Boris, or who else went 40-0? Amon. Those 40-0s are stressful as hell. They tell me, yeah, man, I had 4 penalty kick bouts. Or, oh, I won a game in the 118th. I won a game in the 120th. I won a game in the 89th. And that's something you have to take into consideration. And that's why I have trouble believing there's so many that are getting over 35. Or there's so many that are getting 37 or 38 or 39. It's like, what? What? Let me have a sip of this water here. Speaking of the regional event that I was talking about in Miami, I believe that's on the 18th and the 19th. Good luck to all the competitors there. Let's talk a little bit more about the no loss. Just brief. EA, please fix it. You've got to fix it. Like, that ruins everything. Why invest the time if it's just a matter of who's the best pauser? Or who's the quickest person to exit, who can get the least amount of DCs. That's just not a good look. It's bad for the competitive community. And it makes you as a player feel that EA doesn't care. And that's not the shared experience that you want to go through when you're grinding 40 games every weekend. And you know at least 20 to 30, probably in that range, 20 to 30 out of the 40 are going to be very high stress levels. I remember I was at my girl's cousin place when I was playing from out of town, and I came out and she was like, whoa, you look stressed. And I was like, you have no idea. If I wasn't in your home, we might have had to uppercut something. I got to blow off some steam. Oh, man. It's just become one of those game modes that causes you, even when you win, you're frustrated or you felt the stress. I think maybe it's a FIFA exclusive. That's just something that comes with it. This day and age, if you're not yelling, screaming, or breaking something, then you're not playing. You're not playing. And on screen, you kind of see me kind of inching through here. I want to talk about a couple games that I felt like I should have won, and then there's a couple that are the real. You know, let me backtrack. I'll give that a second. I don't want to give away too much what's happening. But there are a couple games that I'd like to talk about. What I did that was good, what I did that was bad, what type of opponent caused some problems, and of course give you guys the full statistical breakdown. See those shoulders moving? Let's talk about this patch. What did the new patch change? What can you expect? What can't you expect? And of course I want to do a full video discussing this in a little more detail. But what you can expect is going to be in FUT Champs, that badge will be hidden. And also, the club name and the established date won't be able to see that. Unfortunately, after you get past the first screen, I noticed that the club name reappears, which doesn't make sense to me because if it's a competitive game mode, you shouldn't get any of that information. All you should see is kits, and you got to go from that. What do you guys think? It's weird that EA left that in because I just feel like there has to be like an underlying reason that I don't understand as a consumer. Maybe you guys get it. Maybe I'm missing something. Because EA could have easily bumped that. They didn't need to leave it in. We all know as a programmer or a developer or a producer, whatever it is, that's easy edit out. Like, you know, we're not going to leave this. You put it into some sort of algorithm or whatnot. We're going to cut that out. It would have been simple enough, and then once they're in the match, you're good to go. Also, gameplay-wise, you should always anticipate changes. No matter if they say they're patching something in the gameplay or not, EA always makes changes. From my experience with FIFA titles, it doesn't matter what the patch says it's going to do. Be on the lookout for other features to also be affected. We have that new latency bar where you have a little more information about the bars, but I'm kind of skeptical regarding that bar life. See what I did there? But in terms of gameplay, I actually think the defense got a little more difficult in terms of it being more manual, which is great because I don't use the contain button at all. Not one bit. If you guys have seen my controller video where I talk about controls and what settings I believe are best, whether it's a camera view, whether it's you know, how you set up the commands. Are you on something custom? Are you on classic? Are you on alternative? The way that I set up my controller, I think RB is the contain button. I always thought that was very awkward when it used to be a teammate contain. So I was like, screw that. And I've switched those around a little bit. But the RB button never gets used defensively. And even the chase backs, I don't know if they're a little bit slower. Maybe they don't lock on quite the same. Something felt differently. But that's fine with me. It does not bother me defense being a little bit different, being a little bit tweaked. Even the dribbling seemed to be pretty fresh and clean. If you're a good build-up player, I think that this new patch is going to favor you. But this has always been a good game, in my opinion. Just the AI has been a little bit too much. And then having FUT Champions, we always see the worst in people in FUT Champions. And we like to not talk about that. We like sweep it under the rug, but that's what it is, man. We just ignore what's going on in terms of you got the good, you got the bad, you got the ugly. We always remember the bad and the ugly of FUT Champs. I can't believe that guy. 7 at the back. What a dickhead. Oh, custom formation. What? Oh, I hate this guy. Park the bus. Park the bus? Park the bus. No. Take that elsewhere. And I get it, man. I'm the first one to often complain, but I think I've gotten better. We got a lot less rage messages. I thought I was going to have to put together a video, like the ultimate rage message reaction video, because I had some time there that I wasn't feeling too hot. You're going to see me go up against a really strange team, too. He's a great player, but the team difference or the discrepancy was too large. Where he had, I think it was an MLS team that had silvers and bronze and a few gold, but nah, it ain't happening. All right, I'm back. I had to take a phone call, so it might look a little bit different on the camera. Maybe you won't even notice, but I want to discuss how to get better in FUT Champs and FIFA in general, because that's a question that I get frequently asked. And there are a few, I'm not going to, with a stronger point of perspective, or more important. You can put them as a higher priority in FUT Champs because you just don't get as much freedom because people are playing so conservative and playing so tight. So number one is going to be patience, both offensively and defensively. If you want to excel in FUT Champions, you need to make sure that you are focused and patient. Because there's going to be times where you can rush a bunch of people up, and there's going to be other times where you have to have the slow build-up, or you have to wait. Are you under control? Are you looking for a pass? Do you make the right decision for that outlet? And offensively, do you make the extra pass? Do you rush and shoot too early? And some people might try to be defense, and the other one is going to be finishing and being clinical. It doesn't matter how good you are at FIFA. If you make 10 chances, you only finish one of them. If you've got everything else that's good, this is your only error, you can still make it into Division 1. So you might sit back and you're not holding yourself accountable, or you're not watching back in the goal. You got to make adjustments. A lot of people, they struggle to make changes, and I understand. If you've got a style that's working for the most part, even if it's not working, it's not easy to decide or to implement or to add something different into your gameplay that you don't know if it's going to be better or worse. Let me give you an example. Have one more step, even if there's going to be a guy a little bit closer to you. But who cares if you get a corner kick, or the other option would be you take that extra step and you get a goal. Everybody should be pushing for that goal. It does not matter. You want to finish that opportunity. It doesn't matter how many chances you make if you can't finish them. But these are the three, you can almost say four, that I want to talk about in defense. Defense wins championships. And one of the reasons that 5-3 lost at the beginning of this video, somewhat in the beginning, where I was up 2-0 and I almost never blow 2-0 leads, and I'm not sure what happened. I just kind of lost the rhythm. He came back and I was bad. I just was not on my A game. And I also would like to have, there's another match in this video where I think it was the one that I lost 2-1. You may or may not have seen it yet. I think I lose 2-1. But outside of that, even if I get a rage quit, it's often a 1-0 or 2-0 type of game. Maybe by halftime, he's like, all right, I'm getting out of this. And I did receive the usual amount of rage quits in a way that's going to favor you to get 30 wins, 35 wins. Forget about it. No way. This game doesn't allow that. I know the AI does too much wash and repeat. Okay, this location, cross the body is going to go in. Okay, over here, he can hit a near post finesse shot. That's his dominant right foot. I want to get him on his weaker left foot. And I know it sounds simple, and registering everything in a match can be a little bit harder. And I understand that. Especially since it's very easy to get tunnel vision when you're playing FIFA. You're in that game. You're not just watching somebody live stream or watching YouTube content or watching one of your friends play. You're in that match. So your main focus... Well, what's going to make it happen, Mike? Tell us. Talk to us. Where did you do what you were supposed to do? Where did you really fluff opportunities? I think that's a good way to keep improving. I mean, once you get to 35 plus wins, I think it's hard to do a ton of improving from there. It's just a matter of execution, tangibles, or the game mechanics for FIFA 17. No, you got that. It's just a matter of putting it together in the most consistent fashion. The players that finish top 100 players, absolutely murder them. Does that mean that they're not good at the game? No. It means that I had a better game in that matchup, or I was having a better day on FIFA at that point in time. And that's where consistency comes into play. And you can look at the vice versa here. I don't really get killed, but I've lost some games versus people that are... and that's part of FIFA. So it's all about building up this consistent dream of not necessarily going like 40 and 40, but this consistency to get yourself in a position. There's moves they're going to make that are going to surprise you. I don't think there's any other way around it. I'm not sure what they're thinking, and they don't tell us, hey, we're investigating this, or is this going to be the first regional or the second regional? What's going on here? You see what I'm saying? Like, they don't give you just loads of info, which is fine, but from my experience, that's just how. 7 for Holik. Greaves had 11. Bale had 11. Not bad. Kind of a team effort. Pogba only had 1 goal, which has never happened to me before, where he did so little in terms of